So over the last couple of months, you've opened up a little bit with me about like your family history and your descendants coming from literally slavery.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How is what we're talking about now any different?
Yeah, and you can't imagine how people that was like descendants of slavery feel about this. This is to us. This is just like this is absurd. It's like this shouldn't even be a conversation. But we know these people to be takers because they took us.
Okay. All right.
There's not many, like, if you look at the history of the United States, who came here? Everybody came here.
Everyone. Yeah.
Except one group of people.
Native Americans.
No, they was here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But
They're already here.
That's not what I'm talking about. There's one group of people who's here that didn't come here.
Who's here, and it's not the Native Americans?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
That's black people because they were brought here.
Well, they came here.
They didn't come here. When you come somewhere, it's by choice. They were taken and brought.
Oh, okay. I kind of see where you're coming from.
That's the difference. And like it's been a hard road for these people.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? To get to this point, to be somewhat closer to an equal playing field, right? And it's still not quite that, so many may say.
Yeah, one of these quotes that I've heard my whole life, it's usually older people that say it. It's something like, life ain't fair.
But it's always easy for, most of the time, it's the people who are not on the receiving end of the hardship that say that statement.
I totally agree with this.
So it's always like, yo, whenever they say it, it's like STFU, homie. Like, yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah, I see that happening a lot nowadays where it's like everybody has some kind of gripe, right?
Real quick, I'm sorry. I had to do this real quick.
Do that.
Shout out to the world according to Jen and Carolyn. That's our people right there. If any of you guys are watching this, y'all hear say that, give a check out to their podcast.
Yeah.
They're dope, very outspoken, very smart ladies, and man, you better be ready to keep up because they be ripping.
Oh yeah, they go fast through their dialogue. In fact, one of the episodes I listened to of their podcast is when they spoke about tariffs. And they kind of broke it down in a much more educated way than we're going about.
That's because they're much smarter than we are.
Yeah, well, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think that's the deal. They are much smarter, much more educated than we are, so they're going about it in a little bit different way. So tariffs often hurt the people they aim to protect, especially the middle and the working class, right? So a couple questions that we have here, just asking our listeners, who benefits most from tariffs in today's global economy?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think the governments internationally that are taking part in these type of activities are the ones that are benefiting from it. I don't see the benefit.
Yeah, my thought is I have no clue.
So let me just say
say
this. I'm 43 years old. Only one time in my life have I ever seen the government give money to people, ever. And that was during COVID. That was actually President Trump as well. I've never seen the government do anything for the people that the people were like, yo, our government's looking out for us. I'm so happy our tax dollars are going towards that. I've never heard those statements from any of my peers or any of my elders or any of my youngsters.
I've heard lots of politicians say how they're helping the
Yeah,
people.
it's their job to say that, but again, it's like we're down here on the ground. What do we see? Have you guys ever like looked at something and been like proud of it, knowing that your tax dollar went into building something that you can actually access? That you can actually, you know what I'm saying?
On that note, we have roads.
Come on, bro.
We have, I mean, hey,
yeah,
dude,
but those
we
roads,
have roads, we have industries.
most of those roads are maintained by local municipalities and states. That's not federal.
Understood.
Yeah.
But
Like
it is a government.
Specifically in California, Caltrans takes care of our roads and bridges in California.
Yeah.
Like on the highway, right? Highways and bridges. But in terms of like other roads and stuff, that's local municipalities. And that's a big part of what we talk about our taxes. A big part of our taxes help to make up the actual net worth of the country. Because our net worth of our country is what we have, right? But there's also a net worth that they have that's based on what they think we have in terms of resources that are still in the ground. You know what I'm saying? So there's two different figures for that. And they're very, very different figures.
Yeah. So some of the headlines that I've seen buzzing around: China eliminates tariffs on Yemen imports.
Yemeni, yes.
That China bans rare earth exports to the U.S. and U.S. retaliates with tariff hikes up to 300%.
So that, like, stopping those rare earth imports from coming in here is stop a lot of our production of a lot of fundamental things that are needed to operate stuff. Like, it's pretty crazy. That's gonna hurt. We can't replace them. Like, who else? Like, where are we going to get them from?
Yeah, I've also seen that the Chinese, how do you pronounce his name, Nathan?
Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping is doing some kind of trade diplomacy with Vietnam, Cambodia, and Malaysia, as well as others, to essentially make us realize in America that we're the problem, essentially.
Yeah. So, like, basically, he's going to these other people and saying to them, hey, if you don't like how they work, come work over here. For starters, you're not going to have to pay any tariffs. How's about that? And we'll buy everything you got.
Seems like a pretty good deal.
That's
for
a
them.
good deal. Seems like a good deal for anybody.
Yeah.
Sounds sweet to me.
Yeah, so there's some strategy behind a lot of this. And what we did in coming into this is we used a famous book written by Sun Tzu. It's called The Art of War, to kind of use some examples from the art of war to explain some of the tariffs and what may be happening.
All great leaders, military strategists, and generals have all read that book, and it's a vital part of all types of warfare, all throughout history since it was made.
Yeah, so it says tariffs are being used as economic warfare. And so in Sun Tzu's terms, all warfare is based on deception.
And Sun Tzu himself was a brutal military tactician. He was no joke. Ruthless.
Ruthless.
Yeah.
These moves aren't just about money. They signal alliance shifts, production reorientation, and strategic aggression. So an example of this is Yemen gets China as a buyer for all exports. The U.S. loses leverage in the Middle East.
Yeah. Any little piece of leverage that you can get in the Middle East, you want to keep that.
So, and I don't know much about this, right? But it appears that the U.S. used to buy a bunch of Yemen products from Yemen. Now, we're essentially not going to be buying those products because China said, I'll buy them all. and we won't have.
But think about the impact on a country like Yemen. You know, they're not balling out of control or nothing like that. And so, like, what they have to sell, like, it needs to be bought, right? And like, if it's like slow to get bought because people are like, man, I don't know if I really want to pay that for that because I was paying this just last week, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to sell it for what I need to sell it for to make my bottom line. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Yemen is like, yo, we ain't got time for this. We need to eat. And bro comes over and it's like, hey guys, whatever you got, bring it. I'll take all of it. Good. No tariffs. It sounds like good business, bro.
Yeah. So these headlines reflect how modern economic power plays out like chess, with tariffs as the new pawns, knights, and kings. So what does economic warfare look like in the age of global trade?
Super scary.
I mean, it's super scary.
My problem is everyone is only counts the pieces that's on the board. Like me, I look at everything. Like when I say that, I mean, before all this started, we had quite a significant multi-billion-dollar deficit to China.
Is it billion or trillion?
Oh, one of those, huh? Dang.
I mean, I would
whatever
assume
it is,
trillions
whatever
in debt,
it is,
so.
specifically to them. I understand the way things are. You know, there's a lot of different components, you know, to be considered when you're dealing with international trade and relations. It's not straight business. It's not dollar for dollar. That's not how it works. But when you owe somebody such a substantial amount of money, you know, where I come from, you don't posture on them. You know, you kind of maintain some. You got, like, my question is, okay, if we're not happy with the business relationship, that can be renegotiated. But what I don't like is not having gratitude for somebody that I owe. And I think, like, the United States has that ego, like, bruh, those people help us to sustain life in our country. And we owe them, obviously, what we owe them, we couldn't have paid for it over however many years, and they're still doing it for us. What's really going on here?
Well, we're all dependent on each other. Is the deal. And so, I'd ask you,
I don't know.
All right, that being said, when someone is taken hostage, like let's say you're in war, another country, you're now captured.
Prisoner of war.
Prisoner of war.
Yes.
And you've been there for years.
Yeah.
At some point, you have admiration for those people that feed you.
Because they haven't killed you.
And they haven't killed you yet.
That's right.
So does that mean you should have gratitude towards them?
I think so.
Because they give you food?
I think so.
It allowed you to stay alive?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're your enemy.
Yeah, but they're taking care of me. They're allowing me to see the next day, to have hope that I'm gonna get up out of here.
So
they're allowing me that they don't have, like, that's the problem what we have here. We have such an entitlement issue that we think all these things are givens. Dude, nothing's a given, dude.
That's the thing that I'm kind of learning
Nothing's
here.
a given, dude.
But if you're gonna take this to another level, essentially like poking the bear, creating conversation, it's like you spoke about, black people came to America. They didn't come to America. They were brought to America.
And to correct that statement specifically, there was a very small fraction of black people that were here in America living amongst the natives before Spain and the rest of the Europeans came over here. When they came here, before they started bringing slaves here, there was already black people here. This is facts. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know this to be 100% true, but what I've heard is the black people that were sold to come to America, they were sold by other black people.
Some of them were.
Yeah.
Some of them were.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is a fact.
Yes. There are some tribes that have said to do that. I know the names of them, but I'm not gonna say that because it doesn't matter. But yeah.
So should those people be grateful to the people that sold them to come to America?
Those people that were brought here as slaves have nothing to be grateful for other than what they think.
They were being fed.
Yeah, but
this is why I'm saying there's some.
It's not the same thing.
This is a big topic. Is why I'm bringing this up and like challenging a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is a sensitive. That's one thing that this whole like us going down the road and talking about this stuff for me is like, I was pretty apprehensive about doing this. We started going through it in preparation of today and filming. And through the process, we almost just like scrapped it.